I started in 1982.
1987.
1982, about 30 years.
The summer of '74.
38 years.
30 years later, I'm still here.
My name is Dora Medina. A lot of people tell me I've been here forever, and I have. I started back in 1974. When I started, it was pretty much Dr. Ganes, a very small one hygienist, one receptionist, and he was just putting the clinic together. There were only two doctors, Peter Danis and a general. It was Dr. Wiles and Dr. Whitlock. And then after that, a while, other dentists started and more assistants and, place got bigger.
I worked at a restaurant on South 16th Street, and I also worked at the pharmacy on South 16th Street. Dr. Ganes and some of the other doctors would come in. He persistently asked me to come and apply for a job at the clinic. I told him I wasn't interested. I finally went there one day, and he talked me into it, and the rest is history.
As a young kid, this was my first full-time job. I remember walking into the office. They took us down these steps, and looking to the left, I saw all these secretaries sitting there. The first thing I saw was Dr. Ganes sitting in this office behind his desk. Walking in, I felt like I was being interviewed by the Godfather.
So he was short, and he wore these big glasses, and he had a presence about himself.
Initially, he might come off like a rough kind of guy, but he's got a heart of gold. He's got a heart of gold.
He would walk around the clinic and say hi to everybody, hi honey, and he'd go and stop in and say hi to a patient and shake their hands.
He was very personable. He'd be hugging them, putting his arm around them.
To everybody here, he was a phenomenal, family-oriented guy.
He had a way about him. He demanded a lot, and he had high expectations, but he did it because he cared about us, and he would tell us that. There were days that you'd come into work and you'd have something, maybe a bad day, something happened to the family, and he had like an instinct.
When I was working at Burr Life Facility, I was going through a rough time. My dad had cancer, and he just was there for me all the time. I would just sit in his office and cry sometimes, and he just said, it's gonna be okay, and he was just there and he listened to me, and he really helped me through one of the hardest times in my life.
I always remember he had a big heart, and he made everyone feel like he was part of his family.
He was kind to these folks, but got the job done.
Dr. Ganes would leave the office till he would be there in the morning before we came, and he was still there when we'd leave at night.
That was one thing that with Dr. Ganes, he wanted us to make sure that all our patients were comfortable, that they felt that we cared.
Anything he could for the patients, really looked out for the community.
That's why we were booked as heck in January and February. All those patients, we call them back. Hey, you need a crown? We can make an appointment. This is covered by your insurance. And this year, Johnny always told us, this is part of your practice. Run your two operatories as if it's your own.
Little by little, Dr. Ganes started buying the next building and then started building the clinic bigger.
Dr. Ganes and I would sit and look over the floor plans. I didn't really care about the floor plans, and he's like, Judy, what do you think about the bathrooms over here? Or, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that would look really nice, or what have you. But he was he knew every detail, backward and forward.
He loved construction, the details. I bet you I saw him on the phone probably a couple hours negotiating like a coat rack, one time, because it had to be exactly how he wanted it.
Well, we went to a Caterpillar store, and he made me sit inside of one of those things. He goes, do you want this? And I was so shy at that. I'm like, no, I don't want that. We just have a little, we have a snowblower. But he would have bought me one if I wanted one. He would have said, yeah, it's all yours.
They would see him coming and they would just like close their eyes. It's like, no, because he knew what he wanted and what needed to be done. And he was just amazing. They learned to love him just as much as we did. Unfortunately, his health started getting worse and worse. And on the year of 2008, he passed away.
That was a really, really sad day. Again, we saw him as a friend, a father, a mentor.
You know?
When we found out that it was going to stay within the family, and it was someone that was a doctor and that already had worked at Dental Associates, it was like a sigh of relief.
Dr. Manos comforted many of us that everything's going to be okay, you know, everything's going to run, I'm going to be there, you know, so it was a comfort to us.
I started with Dental Associates in 1985. And through the years, I always kept up with my uncle on what was transpiring at Dental Associates. And unfortunately, when he passed at a young age, I was thrust into the position of helping run the company and eventually taking over the company. And it's been the most fun last 12 years that I could ever imagine.
I see so much of Dr. Ganis in Dr. Manos, the passion that they have for our patients, the work ethic that they have every day.
So my first impression of Dr. Manos was a very high energy, passionate person. So Dr. Manos's philosophy on patient care and his message consistently to our doctors is always treat the patient like it's your brother, sister, family member. Every single patient is that important to us.
Every patient that comes in, I want them to be treated as if they're family members. I want every one of my docs to treat them like it's their brother or sister that's sitting in the chair with them. That's really important to me, and what that does is make our family grow.
Here at Dental Associates, I always tell new doctors and staff that when you join Dental Associates, you're joining a family.
One of my proudest achievements is seeing some of the folks that have been here through the years grow in the company. People that have started in one position and grown to another position and taken leadership roles.
I started out as an assistant, then I went to the office, then I worked, you know, in all other areas, in other clinics, and there's just so much to learn. There's so much room for growth here.
So I traveled to Green Bay, I traveled to Appleton. I was going to Fond du Lac. It was supposed to be for 6 months. 17 years later, I left.
You can move around and learn the cross-training. It really is an amazing company to work for, and I really can't believe sometimes it's been 30 years. It's like, wow, I can't believe I've been here for 30 years.
You don't feel like you're going to work. Everybody looks after each other, you know.
Looking back, it's just the things that we go through, and you know, it's just another day at Dental Associates.